Hello everybody, welcome to another Walking Dead video. Today will be my review for Tales of the Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 6, the season finale of Season 1, and this is meant to be the horror episode. This episode is about a haunted house. Let's jump right into this review and talk about it. So the premise of this episode is that we have male protagonist, female protagonist, I didn't learn their names, start in this episode and they go straight to the haunted house. Once they're at the house, they meet this lady. Male character escalates things to the point now they live there. And this episode follows female protagonists dealing with these hauntings getting worse and worse and worse, while male protagonist denies it ever happens. It gets to the point at the end of the episode where male protagonist starts to hallucinate, but then he blames female protagonist for it happens. We then get the climax of the episode, big haunting, and end of the episode. So there's kind of the synopsis of the entire episode, a rundown of the entire episode, slight spoilers, but mostly spoiler 3. And look at that, you might be like, oh, that sounds really cool, or oh, it sounds nothing like The Walking Dead. And agreed, it's nothing like The Walking Dead. It is basically a lot like episode 2, where they add spiritual things, and now spirits and demons and stuff are now canon in the Walking Dead universe. So let's talk about the actual plot itself. And overall, I would say it's not very good. It's a very cool premise. It kind of fits in the Walking Dead universe. We now have ghosts and things. However, it was executed badly. As it's meant to be a horror episode, guess what? There is actually no horror. All the jump scares and stuff are all really bad. Not a single second of this episode is actually scary, and this is where it's most important, as this is meant to be a haunted house episode. Just nothing scary. Every time they built up to a spooky moment and a ghost, we would see the ghost or see the spooky moment, and then it'll just cut to black and move on to like them back in the house just going, oh, I don't like it here. And the premise of the episode is we have our characters just complaining about the house. You got the boy who wants to stay, the girl who wants to leave, and then you have the girl just witnessing spooky moments like being attacked by baby Jesuses, like little Jesuses actually attack her, or seeing a ghost or hearing Spanish. And then every time that happened, it would cut away, or it would suddenly stop and you're like, bruh, where's the spook? I'm not scared at all. I just thought the editing was really bad every time we had something spooky. We don't see the reaction of our character, we just have the camera pan to the ghost, and it's like, black, move over to the boy, or do have them like now inside a different room just talking about what happened. I just thought it was really stupid. I'm also going to mention the pacing, as that is really bad as well. This episode literally starts with them just running through the woods like, let's head to the haunted house. We're at the haunted house. Boy, escalate things. Now we're at the haunted house. Let's just slow down the pacing to have, okay, we're going to have these characters argue about things. We'll have a spook here, badly cutted. And that's it. It's really bad. The pacing is very rushed at the start, and then it slows down once you get into it. They're like, we're going to slow down. We actually didn't have enough time. And then at the end, they're like, we'll speed it up again, get things interesting. You're like, bruh. The pacing is all over the place this episode, and it really shows. I just didn't like the pacing. I thought the story was not scary at all, and it was very generic. It wasn't a very good spooky haunted house story. And now let's move on to the characters and the acting. Both the actors were fine, but they weren't great, they weren't bad, they were just okay. I liked female protagonists more than male protagonists, because male protagonist was just a little annoying. However, that's probably how he is meant to be. And because they weren't great or bad, I just didn't know the names. I didn't care about the characters, like, you're male, you're female, that is what I'm going to call you. I just don't care enough to learn their names. I know one starts with E and one starts with I, maybe? I don't care enough to know. So we have characters we don't care about. I didn't like the boy protagonist because he was stupid. There's a whole plot in this episode where the boy finds this bird and he's like, oh, I like this bird. And the bird doesn't shut up, so he gets angry. And then it gets to an escalation point and you're like, bruh, okay, why are you complaining about the bird not shutting up, but you don't move the bird away? Every scene he's complaining about the bird. The bird is actually in the other room or behind his shoulder, constantly squawking. Bruh, easy way to stop that, mate. Put it in the other side of the house, or even better, take his cage outside. Don't just put it in the other room or have it behind you and then complain and shout about it to female protagonist. I thought it was very stupid, so male protagonist was really dumb and annoyed me. Female protagonist is much more smarter. She was like, I don't like it, I want to get out of here. But however, she was always like, oh, okay, male protagonist, I'll do as you say. So I didn't like him, I just didn't care enough about these characters. And when it came to the ending, I was like, I don't care. One plus side I would have to say, I really liked the music. I thought the music was very good in this episode, even though the spooks were bad, the story was bad, and the acting was just meh. It was okay at points, bad at points. I didn't really care about the acting. They were just actors. They did their job. They did it fine. They weren't like Oscar winners. The music was just good. It added to the feel. The location, I will have to mention, I liked the haunted house vibe. So the presentation of the episode was all very nice. I liked the look of it, I liked the sound of it, I just didn't like the story that was in it, is kinda it. But now let's move on to the ending, because I do want to talk about it slightly. So the ending just kinda is like episode 2, where they're like, okay, this is canon, this is not sunk in their head, these people did witness a ghost. This probably is divisive. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm in the middle. I'm not like in episode 2. I'm like, yes, I really like this like off the walls goofiness. No, I just didn't care. I was like, okay, so what? There's now ghosts. Meh. Maybe if this was a well executed episode of actual spooks and actually scared me, I would have been like, yeah, I'm up for it. But no, I'm not. I don't care too much. The ending was very generic. It was very sudden. I didn't like how male protagonist, when he started hallucinating, blamed female protagonist, and they ended up getting a fight about it, which is pretty stupid. Like, bro, if you're now hallucinating, you don't just go to the girl and be like, you're doing this to me. It's dumb. I just thought that was dumb. The ending was dumb, and it was very sudden. If you watch it, when you watch it, you could tell me down below, what do you think about the end? Was it like, it wasn't bop for me. I don't want to spoil what happens in the ending, but the ending is like very generic haunted house, as I would say. But now let's just move on to my one sentence / one word overall review. And overall, this episode has some big highs with the music, locations, and premise, but some deep lows, like the story not being very strong, the spooks non-existent, and the pacing really bad. The acting's in the middle, it's not great, it's not bad. And I might have been very critical, but overall, I would say this is not the worst episode we've got. I really didn't like episode 3, and I was a bit not liking episode 4 as well. Even though everyone liked it, I wasn't a fan of episode 4. This episode, I'm not a fan of. However, I would rewatch it over the previous 2, 3, and 4. And that's really just because of the premise. I like the haunted house premise. But other than that, there's nothing much going for this episode. And I would have to say, my overall word would just be, this is a mediocre episode. It's not great, it's not bad, it's just in the middle. Some people are probably going to really hate this just because they're like, we now have ghosts in The Walking Dead. And some people might love this. But for me, it is just a mediocre episode. It's nothing special. And this episode would probably be on some people's like top 10 worst episodes. I just feel like it could be there. And that is my review, so please tell me down below, what do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I want to know what your thoughts and opinions and everything down below about this episode, and give me a little list of like your favourite to worst. Now we finished the season, I want to know your like list and ranking of each episode, and what's your favourite and what's your worst in 1 to 6. But this is it for me today, so goodbye. Peace out. And if you want more Walking Dead content, please look on the screen, click in the bottom one. If you want something recommended for you, if you want my latest one, click in the top left. And if you want episode 5's review, to click in the top right. And if you want to keep up to date with all things Walking Dead, I recommend you subscribe to the channel. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you at a later date.